So why all the talk about incinerators or energy from waste facilities to deal with our leftover waste?
Landfill in Wales is dead. There's only about 5 or 6 years left in landfill, and the result of that, we've got to find technologies to deal with our residual waste. In terms of the assembly strategy, the preferred option is energy from waste. And energy from waste is a technology which is used worldwide. Classic example, the Ajax football stadium in Amsterdam is powered by an energy from waste plant.
But not everyone is convinced building new incinerators is the way forward. Alan Watson is an environmental consultant and former senior officer with Friends of the Earth.
Some of the government should be looking at alternatives such as mechanical biological treatment, where you remove any residual recyclable material. You biologically treat the waste so that it doesn't generate any gas or leachate in landfill sites. And then it's a relatively benign material which can be used for land reclamation and for recovery of old quarries and so on.
The clock is ticking to come up with a solution for dealing with our rubbish. The UK's landfill tax is rising. The Assembly government has plans to recycle 70% of our waste by 2025. And next year, tough new EU targets to reduce landfill come into force. Failure to meet them could result in massive fines.
You imagine £500,000 worth of fines on a daily basis. Well, don't imagine it. It's too horrible to contemplate. And I think from our point of view, what we wouldn't want to do is see the local council taxpayer actually picking up the cost of fines. That's why it's so imperative that we come up with solutions to the waste problem. It's so imperative that we increase recycling in Wales. The current cost of waste disposal for the Welsh local government is in the region of something like £300 million. I think in the next period, over the next 10 years, you can double that figure. It will impact on the council tax, it will impact on a range of council budgets.
There's widespread praise for the Welsh Assembly government's ambitious recycling target. But there's also concern about what happens to the remaining 30% of our rubbish.
To think that it's a good idea to burn a residual 30% is still a mistake in Welsh Assembly government terms. It's bad for climate change, it's bad for the economy, because it's still material that can be used, and it's bad for the environment and the communities around those plants, because these are hugely unpopular plants.
Martin Jones knows all about large modern incinerators. He used to run one in London. Today, he's responsible for dealing with Swansea's rubbish, and he's got a controversial idea. He says in the future, Wales should burn more waste and recycle less.
The problem with recycling is you're always dependent upon a private sector, market-driven solution. As we're all finding out, much to our cost at the moment, markets can and do disappear. For instance, when the Chinese decided that they didn't want any plastics for a bit, there were plenty of ships on the high seas full of containers loaded with plastics. There's nowhere to go.
And Martin says it's those plastics in particular which are a real problem. Because there are so many different types, they're harder to recycle.
Those materials such as glass and cans and aluminium, which can and do have ready markets, should be and can be collected and handled separately, but the vast majority we've got, it isn't worth the effort to collect it separately, to sort it and bale it separately, and then ship it on to end markets.
He also thinks generating electricity from burning rubbish in modern incinerators could help answer questions about securing our energy supplies in the future.
We are genuinely short of energy in this country. There's a huge debate as to whether we should go nuclear, whether we should have all these wind farms that only operate for a few hours a day when the wind's blowing, or whether we're going to go offshore, or the tidal barrage. Now, some of these things have got a big role to play, but so does waste to energy. And it's not difficult. It's tried and tested technology. And we are missing a major opportunity to produce a considerable amount of power from the waste which we all throw away.
That's not what the people in Merthyr want to hear.
Merthyr is going to be the centre, the capital city of rubbish. Any bad industry, poor industry for Wales, send it to Merthyr tydfil. Because at the end of the day, that incinerator could be anywhere where there's a railway line. And there's railway lines all around Wales. No matter where, every town in Wales probably got a railway line, every area. but it's coming to Merthyr tydfil.
But there are good, well-paid jobs being created here.
Yeah, that seems to be the magic word, jobs, you know, and dirty, stinking jobs, dirty, stinking industry. They all seem to come to Merthyr. It'd be nice to have a big factory come here one day, lovely clean, but I think Merthyr's been saved up for all the rubbish.
It would damage the reputation of Merthyr, which needs to improve to encourage inward investment and not the import of waste. If Merthyr becomes a dumping ground for Wales, then Merthyr can say goodbye to good quality jobs in the future.
After 60 years of providing countless jobs for the people of Merthyr, the Hoover factory will close at the end of this week. Manufacturing will end and more than 300 people will be without work. Pressure then on local politicians to find new jobs, like the ones promised by Cwm for their modern incinerator.
It's not jobs at any cost at all. They're actual jobs that will provide people with employment locally. We've got high unemployment levels in Merthyr tydfil. There could be benefits from the energy plant being placed on that particular site, because it would bring an early termination to the Tregathi tip, which there has been public concern about smells, etc. going there. What we're trying to do is reduce the landfill in Wales.
Local politicians won't decide if the new incinerator gets built or not. That decision will be made 170 miles away in Westminster by a new quango called the Infrastructure Planning Commission, established to speed up major developments after delays to Heathrow's Terminal 5. Alison's concerned about the effect Ffos-y-Fran and the incinerator, if it's built, will have on her children. So much so, Tom and Emily go to school 10 miles away in Pontypridd.
We're desperately concerned about the impact this is going to have long-term on the health of the children of this town. We have no way of knowing. It's a build-up, you know. It could happen in 5 years, it could be 10 years. It could even happen at the end of the scheme where you've cut the lifespan of somebody by 10, 15 years. It's like you're waking up on a cloudy day for the rest of your life. There is no sunshine coming in.
What are you going to do about the incinerator, though? Is there any fight left in you?
I love so much about this town, the people, there's so many good people in this town, but they are so used to being put upon. And the fight has gone out of a lot of people. They say, well, what can you do about it? It's going to happen anyway. But it may happen, but it won't happen without people knowing exactly what they're doing to us.
But something's got to be done with the rubbish we all create. And whatever the solution is, it won't come cheap.
We're all going to pay. The bottom line is we have a problem here which we've all got to deal with. We are the producers of waste. People's minds, when they think of incinerators, are some large chimney pouring out smoke, covered in a black cloud. Energy from waste plants are not like that. Wales
should be a world leader in waste management, and if we build big incinerators, then what we're saying to the world is we're not clever enough to deal with the waste problem effectively.
In America, we're far and away the largest energy from waste company in the world, actually. We're 50% larger than our next nearest rival. We consider that we set the standard for environmental performance and for health and safety performance on our plants.
Alison, Terry and their colleagues say they won't give up on Merthyr tydfil. They failed to stop Ffos-y-Fran being developed, but they've learnt from that and are now preparing to draw the battle lines again, this time against a massive modern incinerator.
You can never, ever give up. You can never, ever give in. I've got my children to think of. I've got their future. I have got to protect them in the best way I can. And if that means fighting dirty, stinking schemes like this that nobody wants, coming into a town that nobody cares about, then I will fight to my dying death.